All right, let's get started. I will share here one more time. There we go. Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Mari Wimberly, and I'm the Digital Services Librarian here at CCCC. I'm also the site archivist for the CCCC Archives and Special Collections. I am a member of NCCCAA, the North Carolina Community College Archives Association, and as such, I am dedicated to preserving the history of the North Carolina Community College system. Today, I'm going to talk all about the Central Carolina Community College archival collections, what they are, where they are, how to explore, and how to help. So what is it? Well, the physical space is located here in the Lee Campus Library where I work. It is a storage room that's about 10 by 10 feet and full of shelves. Here's a picture of it. You can see it's very small. Right now we have about 80 cubic feet of collections. Archival collections are measured by volume as opposed to how many individual things there are. Since collections can comprise such a variety of objects, it makes more sense to talk about how much space they take up. It's just more standardized. Anyway, our collection contains photographs, slides, newsletters, policy and procedure manuals, compliance certification paperwork, program reviews, course catalogs, yearbooks, blueprints and maps, commencement programs, audiovisual materials, scrapbooks, albums, student and faculty handbooks, and some curriculum materials, and much more. You'll notice from the items I just mentioned that we collect materials that have to do with the college's history, its foundings, its programs, its students, its faculty, and its leadership. We're not looking to collect general Sanford history or history in general. Other local and state repositories collect those materials. Here's just a brief list of some of the other local organizations in Lee, Harnett, and Chatham counties that also have archives or history collections. These include, in no particular order, the local history rooms at the Harnett, Chatham, and Lee public libraries, the Dunn Area History Museum, the General William C. Lee Airborne Museum, the Coates Museum, the museum at Aversboro Battlefield, the Historic Railroad House Museum, the Lee County Genealogical and Historical Society, the Chatham Historical Museum, the Small Museum of Folk Art, and the Wiggins Memorial Library at Campbell University. I have visited many of these places, and each one has something unique. The fact that all of these separate collections exist allows us each to set different parameters for collecting. For us, that means we get to focus exclusively on CCCC. And that brings us back to the purpose of our collection. We preserve objects and materials that tell the story of CCCC. When and why was Central Carolina built? Who attended classes here? What did they learn? What was it like to be a student here? Who taught here? What did they teach? What was it like to be an instructor here? Who have our leaders been? What have they done to promote student success? What kinds of academic and extracurricular programs have there been? What did the campus's buildings and classrooms look like? How have we celebrated achievements? What do we do together for fun, relaxation, and team building? And what place does CCCC hold in the wider community? Every single thing in the archives ties back to one of these points. So we are still an active archives. We still do technically collect and accept collections. We do have some policies that we are putting in place to guide that and keep our focus on the history of Central Carolina Community College. So here's what we can take. If you know of anyone who has any of these materials or would be willing to donate them or bring them in for us to look at, this is what we can take. Albums and scrapbooks, photographs and slides, brochures, pamphlets, flyers, programs and ephemera, maps, blueprints, and surveys, buttons, pins, badges, decals, ribbons, and stickers, oral history recordings, and video and sound recordings of campus events in any format, and small artifacts. There are probably other things I've forgotten to list here that we would also be interested in. The key is these are small items, and they have to do directly with Central Carolina Community College. We have many things like this already. We're always happy to look at more and to acquire them if we don't have them already. And once again, these are things that were made here, used here, or found here. Our list of items that we unfortunately cannot accept is a little bit longer. We do not accept newspapers. We collect these digitally, actually. We do have some scrapbooks of old newspaper clippings, but since newspapers are not printed on archival paper, they deteriorate very quickly, and we don't have the budget or the storage facilities to properly care for them. Obviously, we cannot take large items like furniture, office decor, appliances, and light fixtures. Faculty personal papers. This refers to things like, the complete papers belonging to so-and-so, every scrap ever scribbled on. We don't have room. If you have a collection of papers that you're convinced is significant, we would certainly love to look at it to see if any of it matches our parameters, but we can't preserve, for example, the entire contents of someone's office after retirement. There are archives which do undertake very large projects like that, but unfortunately we are not able to. We can't take course materials from after 1980. We are interested in instructional materials from the first 10 years of the college's history. And we can't take artwork, including framed art, sculpture, installations, and murals. Some of it would probably be pretty cool, but most art needs very special storage conditions, which we don't have. And art also takes up a lot of room, which we also don't have. We also cannot take microfilm and microfiche unrelated to the history of the college. Books, academic journals, and magazines, unless they were written by a faculty member, we can't take those either. Yearbooks, we actually have multiple copies of every yearbook ever issued by the college, and they are also available digitally, which I will talk about in a little bit. In fact, if you would like a hard copy of one of our yearbooks, please let us know, and we would be glad to give you one as long as you promise not to bring it back. Oversized items, again, student records, those are confidential, we can't take those. Items that are moldy or severely damaged, we'll make an exception for unique documents. Again, I don't really think that would be an issue, but we don't want to say a hard no because sometimes people can find really cool stuff. Weapons, hazardous materials, human remains, taxidermy, illegal substances, anything protected by sites, stolen items. I don't think anybody would bring these things here, but I can actually think of a reasonable donation in each of these categories. Other archives do deal with all of these things a lot, especially the larger ones. Audiovisual equipment and other technology, we already have a reel-to-reel recorder, multiple slide projectors, all of the equipment that we need to look at our older materials, so we don't need any more of that. Materials of general historic interest unrelated to CCCC, even if they're cool, even if I personally am really interested. If it's general historical interest, you might want to try one of the other local history repositories that I mentioned in the previous slide. Someone might need them or want them for their collection. Items on loan, we don't have the proper insurance to care for them, so we can't take items on loan even if they're super cool. And items for general storage, we can't hold on to things temporarily for people. And why do we need a collections policy? Well, it's standard procedure for archives. So I've made this next slide to be humorous, but you might be surprised at the types of things, again, that are donated to archives and history organizations. They can be anything from valuable to dangerous to just kind of puzzling. So I made this slide thinking about how there could be many community members who had a family member who taught at the college here or who attended college here, and they might have some really neat things that might turn up cleaning out closets or attics, manuscripts of a speech given at commencement, lecture notes, scorecards from a basketball game, programs from award ceremonies, or a scrapbook put together by a particular department. There might be more slides or more photographs out in the community that we would love to see. And there might be little mementos like buttons or ribbons from school festivals that we don't happen to have already. But things that I've put in this other category here, just that were maybe owned by someone who taught or who attended school here and don't necessarily have to do with the history of the college, we would not be able to take those. Can't take fax machines or computers, boxes of home videos, anyone's remains, can't take those either. collection of microwave cookbooks I actually had donated to a library that I used to work at. We were unable to keep them. And I have heard about people donating mementos from World War II, which were actually still active explosives, to museums, or bringing them in and showing people who they thought would be interested and who were interested. But oh my goodness, please do not bring those here. So what's the best way to explore the archives? DigitalNC.org is the main online repository for the CCCC archives. As it says on their website, the North Carolina Digital Heritage Center is a statewide digitization and digital publishing organization housed at UNC's Wilson Special Collections Library. They work with North Carolina cultural heritage institutions like libraries, archives, museums, alumni associations, historic sites, history societies, and more to digitize their collections and to scan, describe, and publish historical materials online. They are supported by the State Library of North Carolina with funds from the Institute of Museum and Library Services under the provisions of the Library Services and Technology Act and by the UNC Chapel Hill University Library. This is an amazing service. I'm so glad that we have an opportunity to participate. The previous librarian in my position had all of our photographic collections digitized, and as well as our course catalogs and all of our yearbooks. So you can view those all online. I am hoping to have the same thing done for our slides. We have many, many boxes of slides, and some of them are really amazing, but that's not accessible until we get those scanned. It's a very slow process, but we're really fortunate that that exists for us and is an option. Digital NC, the librarians and archivists there have the equipment that it takes to digitize oversized items like maps and blueprints, which we also have. And they're just more efficient than I would be. They can scan 50 slides at once. I can scan one. So there is no cost to us, and they have the state-of-the-art equipment and facilities. I'd like to show you the Digital NC website. Let's see. Oops, wrong way. There we go. I'm hoping that everyone can see it. So this is the Digital NC website right here. Now it's huge. Like I said, they're not just for us, they're for many, many organizations all across North Carolina, and they have some really amazing things here. There are various ways to search. For right now, I'm going to show you how to get to just our collections. So if you go to contributors up here at the center top, this is the easiest way to search our things. And you can search by map. You can see it shows the locations of all of the libraries, museums, and other organizations. And then there's, of course, an alphabetical list of them. I'm going to scroll down here to Central Carolina. Too far. There we go. All right, so now if you search in this bar right here, you can search the collections from this institution. I'm just going to put in automotive right here. I was looking earlier. Lots of pictures of cool old cars. And of course, this is going to bring up, it says 149 records found. And here is one I'll click on, just called Automotive Mechanics Students Working on Carburetors. So there is some information that has been filled in for these, what people are doing, sometimes where they are or what building they're in. And it will have down here in the metadata, of course, that it was scanned from a photograph, that it was taken in Sanford. It has the date range. This was from the 80s. But for many of these, it is unknown who these students were, even sometimes who some of the instructors were. And that is one way that you can help us. If you can identify anyone in the pictures, or if you have more information about who might have taken them or what the program might have been, if you let us know, we can have this metadata updated, and they will include more information as it is discovered. You can see there's a comment box on the page. You could use that, or you could email us. And do I jump back to the beginning there? Goodness, where's my last slide? There we go. So as you can see, this is all very much a work in progress. In the future, we're hoping to host more exhibits and more displays. We do have some of our photographs displayed in the law library area here in the Lee Campus Library. I'm also working on updating our archives LibGuide that can be accessed through our library website. I can include a link to that in the chat if anyone is interested. And does anyone have any questions for me today? I will leave the chat open for a moment so I can get that link put in there. So thank you all for joining me today. I am really glad to have had the opportunity to talk to you all about the archives. We are very excited about all the possibilities we have for the future. Many of our collections right now are still unsorted and in boxes, and I'm hoping to discover some really interesting things to share with everyone about the history of the college and the programs and all the amazing people who have been part of the Central Carolina Community College story. Thank you, Allison. Thank you all for coming. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording now.